All right, I'm gonna give you the 1-minute summary because I value your time. For its price, I think this is as good of a value as you can get right now in the electric skateboard world. The range is good. Meepo claims 20 miles. I was able to get about 14 miles, but I'm a heavier rider at about 190 pounds. I was riding in maybe 50-degree weather, and I'm riding in the fastest speed mode, which is S+. So that's pretty much a worst-case scenario. Also, Meepo claims a top speed of 28 miles an hour. I was able to get 26 miles an hour, or maybe more realistically 25 miles an hour, so that's pretty quick for a board at this budget. That being said, the acceleration and top speed dropped off a cliff when you go below 50% charge on the battery. In this generation, they switched over to the JFOC 24B ESC, and it is a rock-solid ESC. I've had no problems with stability. I've never had the board drop or any controller connection issues, anything like that. That being said, it does have auto on and off with where the remote will turn the board on and off so you don't have to reach down and press a button, but I did find that didn't work every time. It worked most of the time, but there were quite a few times where I did have to reach down and press the power button on the board. Not that big of a deal, but something I wanted to mention. The biggest downside for this board for me is actually the turning and ride feel. It is incredibly stiff. Now, a big part of that is the bushings that they send. These are relatively hard bushings, and you can buy new bushings for like 20 bucks and change the ride feel quite a bit. But out of the box, for people that don't want to do that customization, this thing is great in a straight line, but is not very playful and feels pretty dead to carve on. Oh, and Meepo did send this board over for review, but they have no control over what I say in the video, and I'll only be making changes if I get something factually incorrect. So yeah, that's the summary. If that's all you needed, then I would appreciate a like and sub on the way out. And now let's go over the specs. It has a 324 watt-hour battery, which is a pretty good sized battery for this price of board. Actually, I'm gonna set it down because it's heavy. Oh, that does remind me though, it has this built-in handle, and while aesthetically, I think this handle looks terrible, I would hate to be seen using it. I actually do find the handle pretty useful, so I think it's good, but man, it hurts me to actually use, which maybe I just got to get over that. Anyway, the battery is 324 watt hours. It's in a 12S3P configuration, which is really good for a board at this price, so I give a thumbs up for that. It has 4 ride modes, from low, which is for beginners, all the way to S+, which is getting all the acceleration and all the top speed out of the board. And in that S+ mode, I actually think for this price point, it's really good. I was getting a top speed of like 25 to 26 miles an hour, which is fast, and it feels fast. And while it wasn't Meepo's claimed 28 mile per hour top speed, it's still really good. And I bet if you didn't weigh as much, then you probably could get that 28 mile per hour top speed. It has dual 1500 watt motors, which sounds like a lot. Don't get too caught up on motor size. Usually what happens is that companies will put in pretty big motors, but if the ESC or the battery isn't up to spec, then they can't supply that amount of wattage to the motor for peak usage, or they can't sustain that because different parts will overheat. So don't get caught up on the motor size. The takeaway for me with these motors is that they're actually pretty powerful. It's a belt drive board, which means you will have to replace the belts. For me, I generally have to replace them every 200 to 300 miles. I'll get a rock in there or they'll break. Doing the belt swap itself isn't too difficult, but it is something you have to do. It might take you 10 minutes when you're first starting out, so just keep that in mind. With belt boards, you will have to replace the belts when they break. As far as the little quirks about this board, one that I think is awesome is they added nose and tail guards out of the box, which means when you pick this board up and set it down, you're going to be hitting the nose and tail, and so having those guards just be installed from the factory is awesome. I'm really happy they did that, especially at this level budget of a board. That's just cool. One quirk I really don't like though is that they have, I think they call it like freestyle mode. They have that out of the box where if you pull back on the remote, which usually does the braking, then it'll automatically go into reverse. And I really don't like that behavior. It actually almost made me crash the first time I rode the board because I'm used to, you pull back to brake and then you can lock the wheels up and do a little power slide, but I pulled back to brake and the wheels just started spinning in reverse. I think that's actually a pretty unsafe behavior to have installed out of the box. I think if people want to put it on their boards, then that's great. Do it. And I'm sure it'd be fun because you can just switch immediately into reverse. But I think to have that be the default behavior, it's probably going to make some people crash. I've ridden, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 electric skateboards at this point, and I have never had one come pre-installed with that behavior. So I personally don't like it. I also think, again, as a default behavior, it's pretty unsafe because people are going to pull back thinking they're going to brake, and then instead of braking, it will spin the wheels backwards, which means not only does it not brake very much, you also are going to fishtail. So you're not only not slowing down, but you're also probably sliding sideways. And anyway, it's easy to change. They have a tutorial how to do it on their website. It takes like 1 minute, so it's not a problem. I just wish that wasn't installed out of the box. The wheels are 90mm wheels, and they're pretty standard. I found them quite soft and sticky, so I think that they're going to be good for most people. That being said, I personally prefer 110mm wheels, and so these are a little bit small for my preference, but because it's a belt drive board, you can put on whatever wheels you want, so it's no problem. Where I live, we have a lot of chip sealed roads, and I've found for chip sealed roads, 110 is about as small of a wheel as I want, and if you go smaller than that, then while you're riding on the chip sealed road, your feet start to go numb and your calves get rattled, and it's just less pleasant of an experience. But yeah, I actually like pretty much everything about this board for this price point. My biggest problem though is the turning dynamics, which are from these hard bushings. When you're riding it, it feels like the board just doesn't want to turn, and that's even after you loosen up the bushings and you have them pretty loose. They still feel very stiff to me, and so I would highly recommend spending 20 bucks or whatever it is to get some softer bushings. But I think most people who are buying a budget board like this, they're probably not going to want to swap out the bushings or like know how to do it, even though it's pretty easy. It'll probably only take you like 10 minutes to do. I really don't like these bushings, and I think for a beginner, maybe it'd be good because it's easy to go in a straight line and they're pretty stable, but it makes the board feel not like a longboard. You can't carve very well, and it feels pretty stiff and dead. Maybe at this price point, you're targeting a beginner and you do want them to just be safe and be able to go in a straight line, but I personally don't like them at all, and it feels like the only part on the board that's a miss is the bushings. But with that being said, if you're going to miss on anything, the bushings are the cheapest things to replace, so like not that big of a deal. But yeah, if you get this board, and I'll leave a discount code below if you want to check it out, then I would highly recommend getting some softer bushings, especially if you're a light rider. I'm about 190 pounds and these feel stiff on me, so maybe if you're like up to 250 pounds, maybe they would feel soft enough to feel playful. But if you're 200 pounds or less, I would highly recommend getting some softer bushings so that you can get some of that carving experience and get some of that playfulness back. All in all though, at this price point, I think this is a phenomenal board. I think you're getting solid range, you're getting solid top speed, pretty good acceleration actually. The ESC is good, the wheels are good, the bushings suck ass, but what are you gonna do? You can replace those. And yeah, as an overall package, I think it's a rock solid board. All right, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.